Hello everyone, I'm Surabhi Calla, Product Manager for Windows Autopatch, and joining me in this session today is my colleague Mounica Battula. And we're very excited today to talk about unified update management. Managing Windows updates can also feel very complex and fragmented with different policies, tools, and update types to juggle with. Today we'll explore how the unified approach simplifies update deployment, enhances security, and reduces IT overhead for our IT admins, helping organizations to stay up to date with minimum disruption. Let's dive in and see how Autopatch can bring efficiency, automation, and harmony to Windows update management. In this session today, we will go through the safe rollout options available with Autopatch using Autopatch groups and rings. We will then do a deeper dive into how to manage different content types, including quality updates, feature updates, and driver and firmware updates using Windows Update Management. Unified Windows Update Management is a streamlined approach to managing Windows updates across an enterprise, consolidating policies, tools, and workflows into a single cohesive system. It integrates update types such as quality, features, driver updates, reducing fragmentation in how updates are scheduled, deployed, and monitored. We did receive feedback from our customers that it was very confusing with different methods available for update management. We heard the feedback, and last year, in September, we ensured that we consolidated and unified our feature set so there's a single pane of glass for Windows Update Management for our customers using Autopatch Update Management. Let's start with safe rollout practices. Autopatch safe rollout practices rely on a tiered approach to testing and deploying updates across groups and rings, minimizing potential disruptions while ensuring updates are delivered effectively. Here's a breakdown of the safe rollout practices with Autopatch groups and rings. Gradually deploy updates through the test, first, fast, and broad rings, catching issues early with minimum impact. The most important thing also is to make sure that groups are created based on certain criteria, such as departments or locations, to test the updates with specific user needs in mind. The next important point to be noted is tracking metrics and ensuring stability in each ring before moving to the next deployment phase. You need to make sure that you schedule updates during the low impact hours and avoid critical business periods so that any disruptions that could be coming into play do not hamper the business operation processes. Collect insights from test and the first ring from users to identify and address potential issues early in the rollout journey. By following these safe rollout practices, you will be able to leverage Autopatch groups and rings more efficiently in order to deploy updates in a controlled and systematic manner. This approach helps reduce risk, ensuring that the security updates are applied to the devices in the most optimum manner, reducing disruptions. Autopatch basically uses 4 deployment rings by default. There is an ability for our customers to choose more rings if they deem it's essential for them. Each one of these rings actually represents a stage in the rollout. Starting with the test ring, which is typically a small group of diverse range of configurations to assess compatibility and impact. This group should include usually your IT pros and deployment specialists who can provide very good feedback and very quick turnaround time. The first ring is a slightly larger group of early adopters who can detect broader issues. This group helps to ensure initial validation results in scale beyond your test ring. The next is your fast ring, which is like a more broader and larger group that includes broader use cases and departments, but it still excludes your critical or highly sensitive devices. And then the last one is your broad ring, which is the largest group covering your general population of devices in the organization. This rollout stage occurs only once all the prior stages have been very thoroughly validated. In addition to the default rings, the recommendation is also to create custom Autopatch groups, specific device categories. user groups, or application dependencies. For example, creating Autopatch groups for departments with unique needs. You could have a group for finance, engineering, marketing, where we know that all these groups and devices within these groups have very specific needs, which is different from one another. You could also create Autopatch group based on geographical location if that is how the identification and the deployment needs to be scheduled for your organization. These custom groups allow targeted testing for specific use cases, providing more control and insight into how updates affect various areas of your organization. So, using the Autopatch groups and custom rings, updates are rolled out gradually in stages, ensuring smaller group of devices are updated first before progressing to larger or broader groups. This, as mentioned before, helps minimize risk and allows issues to be detected at an early stage. Autopatch can help define up to 15 deployment rings and up to 50 Autopatch groups, where each ring would represent a group of devices. Devices are automatically also grouped into rings based on a percentage of the total device population. This can be achieved through the dynamic grouping that makes rollout flexible and definitely reduces administrative overhead. Specific devices or groups can be manually assigned to a particular ring. These exclusive assignments override the dynamic pooling, allowing IT admins to prioritize or isolate specific devices or key users from being part of a specific ring in the deployment cycle. This strategy includes both flexibility and control during updates. So let's go and take a look at a demo that will take you through the deep dive, step-by-step process of how to create an Autopatch group and associate rings and distribute your devices effectively in those rings. In this demo, you will see how to create Autopatch groups and rings to manage safe deployments. You can navigate to Autopatch groups by going to Windows Updates, Specific Content, and then the link to create Autopatch groups. You can also go to Tenant Administration, go to Autopatch Groups, which will then take you to the page where you have Update Settings and Autopatch Groups. Update Settings allows you to change some settings that are on a tenant level. But let's go and create some groups. Start by typing a name that is relatable to the Autopatch group. The next step would be creating your deployment rings. You can create up to 15 deployment rings under a specific group. You can either go ahead and add a Microsoft Entra ID group manually. This is usually done for your test rings and the last rings. Once you have added these groups successfully, you can then either manually go and add groups to the other rings, or you can leverage the dynamic deployment rings. Dynamic deployment rings allows you to distribute a specific percentage of devices in each ring. You can go with the default 1990% options that we have available, or you can change the default. Once you've created that, the next step would be to change any of the Windows Update settings. You can go and select deadline driven or schedule installed, which allows you to configure your deployment rollout schedules by defining the deferral period, the deadline, or the grace period as well. Once you have reviewed all these settings, you can move to the next step, which is driver update settings. If you do not want to apply the Autopatch groups to your driver policies, you can cancel that using this toggle button. Go ahead and review all your settings on the page. Once done, you can press Create. This will now show in the list view of your Autopatch groups. You can, at any point in time, open the Autopatch group that was created previously and make edits to your settings. Once you have set up all your devices for the safe rollout, let's take a look at update management that's available for all the different content types. Let's start with quality update. The goal here is to ensure devices are compliant with the latest security updates. So how do we achieve that? Tailor your update configurations to fit the organization's need and compliance requirements. You need to deploy the updates specifically to designated Autopatch groups or Microsoft Entra ID-based groups for targeted management. You can leverage Autopatch groups and rings in this phase, or you can go ahead and create Autopatch quality update policies or update ring policies. The next is installing deadlines, or schedule installs to ensure timely updates while minimizing disruption. This will ensure that your deployment schedules are set up as how you intended to set them up. Modify the pace of deployment to align with the organization's tolerance for change and update needs, and this could vary month by month. In addition to that, Autopatch also offers expedited quality updates, which helps to accelerate the rollout of a critical update to quickly address security or stability issues which cannot wait for the normal monthly update cycle. At any point in time, IT admins have the capability to pause updates if issues arise, giving time for troubleshooting before resuming broader deployment. Autopatch provides different reporting views that can help take appropriate actions. There exists an organizational summary view of report that provides current update status for the entire organization. And in addition to that, there is also a 90-day trending view. A device status report also allows and shows the update status for each device targeting an update and any alert identified during this journey. So basically, by using Autopatch update management for deployment of quality updates, you can get an end-to-end picture of how to create your deployments, how to set up your devices and make them part of the deployment, and also monitor how your deployment is going post creation of those rings and cycles. So again, let's go ahead and look at this demo that will show you how to create your update ring policy, how to add devices to that policy, and then how to leverage the hot patching capability, which is how do you make sure that you can add your devices to a hot patch policy, which then allows our users to get a reboot-free update. In this demo, we'll go ahead and see how to use the unified quality update management for managing quality update content for your devices in your organization. The first step would be to navigate to Devices, under Manage Updates, go to Windows Updates, and then go to the Update Ring settings. Here you can go ahead and tweak the settings as required. Start with giving a name to your profile, and then a bunch of settings would appear which will show how the deployment for that content will happen for your devices. You can go ahead and start changing these settings. The first one would be to ensure that Windows updates or Microsoft product updates are set to allow. The next would be the deferral days. So how many days do you want to wait from the published date of the update for the devices to start getting this update offered? The next would be just checking the user experience setting. So the devices, which way should they be installed on the device? At a specific time window that you can define, or automatically when as soon as it's available. Once you've revisited and reviewed and edited these settings based on your requirement, the next two are actually about pausing a specific quality update. So you can go ahead and enable or disable it. The next would be assigning a specific group of devices, a device, to the specific policy. So in this example, I'm just using a Microsoft Entra ID group that I had previously created for the demo. Once you've assigned that, the next step is just reviewing all the settings that you've made to ensure that this is what the intent was. After the review, you can go ahead and create the update ring policy. Another option with this is our new hot patch policy. So you navigate to Windows Update under Quality Updates, and then go ahead and create a new quality update policy. Give it a name, such as Quality Update. The next would be a toggle. When available, apply without restarting the device. As any other policy, the next step is to create assignments. So please go ahead and add your Microsoft Entra ID group or groups. Once you've done the assignments, the next would be to review the policy to ensure the settings are right. Once the policy is created, you can go and change or edit the settings at any point. When the Patch Tuesday update is out, you can see on your screen right now that the update gets downloaded and installed without causing any disruption on the device. And this is completely viewable by the end user. In the next section, my colleague Mounica Battula will take you through update management creation through Autopatch Unified Update Management for feature update and drivers and firmware update. Over to you, Mounica.
Thank you so much, Surabhi, and thank you everyone for joining us today. We are excited to talk more about everything that you can do in the update management space with Windows Autopatch. Jumping on to the next topic we have here, which is managing feature updates. Windows Autopatch feature updates include a comprehensive set of functions which are designed to improve security, functionality, compatibility, performance, and end user experiences. Autopatch provides you with various tools to assist with the controlled rollout of Windows feature updates, thereby using which you can meet your organization's evolving businesses and technology needs. Today, we will be talking about high level tooling available with Windows Autopatch to manage feature updates. First off, we will talk about granular controls with configurable deployment option to suit your tenant needs. Autopatch offers controls and configurable deployment options that you can use to tailor as per your environment requirements. You can either create a standalone policy for feature upload deployments, or you can use Autopatch groups to implement a multi-phased release strategy. The multi-phase approach will ensure a controlled and safer, more reliable deployment, helping you to manage updates efficiently while also maintaining system stability. We will talk about how that will all work when we get to the demo. Next, for devices which are not eligible for Windows 11 update, there is an option for you where you can opt in to install the latest Windows 10 update during the feature update deployment. This will make sure that you will not have to create two separate policy, one for Windows 11 devices and one for Windows 10 devices. Also, Windows 11 users can receive feature updates as an optional installation, and this is totally configurable during a feature update policy creation on the Windows Autopatch console. Moving on to the next one, admins will also have options to roll out, such as make updates available as soon as possible, or choose a specific day to start the rollout, or gradually roll out to control when devices advance to the next step in the feature updates rollout. This will make sure the deployment process is flexible as well as adaptable. Last but not the least, Autopatch also provides feature updates summary report and device level reporting where you can see the latest update statuses as well as alerts for the devices that are in your organization. All right, now that we have looked at what are the high level functionality available in feature updates management for Windows Autopatch, let's go and look at a quick demo and how to create a multi-phased release strategy. You will be able to see all the customization options available and how you can configure a feature update deployment very quickly, very easily, and safely on Windows Autopatch. There are two ways to set up a feature update policy for your tenant. One way is to create a standalone feature update policy, or you can set up a multi-phased release. In today's demo, we will walk through how the process looks like for setting up a feature update multi-phase deployment. A feature update multi-phase release in Autopatch provides a structured approach to deploy feature updates in stages, gradually rolling them out to groups of devices within your organization. This phased strategy reduces risk, minimizes disruptions, and allows for thorough testing and feedback collection at every stage before proceeding to the next one in the rollout. To create a multi-phase release, navigate to the Feature Updates tab by clicking on Devices, Windows Update Blade under the Manage Update section. On the Feature Update tab, click on the Create button and select the Create Autopatch Multi-Phase Release option. Enter a name, description, and the target version on the Basics page. You will then have an option to make the update available as required update or choose the update to be an optional update. If marked as required, the update gets offered to the end users as recommended. Or you can use the Make Updates Available as Optional option. This will enable end users to seek the updates, download, install them based upon their convenience. In addition to this, the checkbox option here will allow devices not eligible for Windows 11 to be upgraded to the latest in support Windows 10 version rather than you having to create two separate policies targeting two different versions. Once completed, click Next to go to the Autopatch Groups page. On this step, choose one or more of existing Autopatch groups that you want to include in the multi-phase release. Note that if you select an Autopatch group, all the deployment rings in the Autopatch group will be included in the policy. Next, go to the Releases phase step to review and edit the number of auto-populated phases. You can also edit each phase to select rings that you want to assign to that phase. Once completed, go to the Release Schedule page. Here, choose the rollout option. You can make the update available as soon as possible or on a specific date, or you can also choose to gradually deploy updates. If you choose this option to gradually deploy updates, the service intelligently creates groups based on first group availability date, last group availability date, and days in between group selection. In the last step, ensure that you review the selections before creating the policy and then click on the Create button to complete the multi-phase release setup. Once the multi-phase setup is complete, the release will be created and it will be visible to you to manage and edit on the Feature Updates tab. Now that we spoke about feature updates, let's jump into the next section, which is looking at how do we manage drivers and firmware updates using Windows Autopatch. Autopatch offers a centralized and simplified solution for driver management, allowing IT admins to efficiently manage drivers and firmwares that are offered by Windows updates. With Autopatch, admins can easily find and approve the right drivers for their devices, either in bulk or individually. Also, Autopatch provides flexibility to approve drivers either automatically or manually. For automatic approvals, IT admins can view applicable drivers and see the count of impacted devices with the option to pause deployments as and when necessary. For more control and granularity, you can also choose to manually approve drivers across Autopatch groups. In addition to the recommended drivers, admins can also choose to deploy other drivers to the devices, tailoring the driver update process to specific needs of your environment. This layered approach enables a very streamlined yet customizable driver management process within the Windows Autopatch. We also have options to decline any unwanted driver updates, or as an IT admin, you can choose to pause a driver rollout if you detect a problematic driver. This will ensure that you have full control of the deployment process. You can also choose the highly customizable experience within Windows Autopatch, which supports configuration that range from basic to advanced driver management to meet the specific needs of your organization. Now that we spoke about what are the high-level functionality that is available for managing drivers and firmware updates in Windows Autopatch, let's jump into the demo. We will be looking at two separate user flows in the demo. One, we will be looking at how do we create a standalone driver policy. Also, we will be looking at creating driver policies using Autopatch groups. There are two ways to create driver policies. You can create a standalone driver policy or you can use Autopatch groups. First, let's look at setting up a standalone driver policy. Start by going to Devices, Windows Update Blade under Manage Updates section, then to Driver Updates tab. You can click on the Create Profile to start creating a driver update policy. Enter a name and description for your profile. On the settings page, you can set one of the two approval methods, automatic or manually allow. With the automatic option, recommended drivers are automatically approved and deployed based on a specified deferral period that is set by the admin. With manual option, only drivers that are manually approved will be deployed to the devices assigned to this policy. Complete the profile by adding entry groups in the Assignment step to add devices to the policies. You can use the picker to select existing entry groups from your tenant. Once completed, ensure that you review the selection before clicking Create to complete creating the policy. The policy that you have created will be visible to manage and edit on the driver updates blade. Driver management is also integrated into the Autopatch groups flow to reduce complexity for admins and to facilitate safe gradual rollouts across rings. We will now take a quick look at how that works. Under tenant administration, you can go to the Autopatch groups blade to start creating an Autopatch group. We are jumping forward in this wizard to the driver settings step. Here, admins can opt in to create and manage driver policies. By selecting Do Not Allow, no driver policy will be created for the Autopatch group. However, if you select the option to allow, the driver policies will be created for each deployment ring in the Autopatch group. For each policy, you can set one of the two approval methods, automatic or manually allow. Note that with automatic option, recommended drivers are automatically approved and deployed based on a specific deferral period. This will ensure a sequential and safe deployment across the rings. Last but not the least, you can also manage drivers by going to the Driver Updates tab under Windows Update Blade. Click on the Manage Drivers for Autopatch Groups button. Here, you can see a list of recommended and other drivers. Recommended drivers are those drivers which the publishers have marked as required and are most recent update versions. On the other hand, other drivers include drivers published as manual or are older versions of the applicable drivers. This page will also allow you to take bulk actions at once for multiple drivers. This will simplify management of use cases such as manually approving multiple policies or taking quick actions such as pausing a driver. To learn more about how to do this, do check out our session on Windows Autopatch, your playbook for advanced update management. If you're interested in learning more or need a step by step guide, please refer to these links on the screen. You can learn more in detail about Windows Autopatch, Autopatch groups, feature updates, quality updates, driver updates, and a lot of other stuff that you can do within Windows Autopatch. Also, you can tune in and check out our session on Windows Autopatch, your playbook for advanced update management to learn more about the nuances in managing different updates using Windows Autopatch. Hope all of you enjoyed the session today, and thank you so much for taking time to learn about Windows Autopatch with us.